Uh, Part 5 of Jeremiah, trying to finish or go through them, probably about a third of the way right now. Uh, also become a desolation, it'll become emptied. I went over this last time. Like I said, when you're reading these things, something like this, when talking out of the promised land, is them just trying to add extra text. Our creator's not going to be talking about um, pagan lands and whatever, but our creator made us all. Don't worry. Um, we all have a chance to respect and honor him and to live in heaven. So um, everybody was made for him. So you might want to check out when I talked about Judas. Um, Not cut you, but they'll wound and kill you. Um, and then when many are passing by through their territory after they're gone, they'll say to each other, why have he done this? Because he's made himself known, for he is established as the creator there. Um, as a foreigner would look at it outside of that, not knowing he's the living creator, they would say, why he's their God, and why did he do that to them? Um, so when you have to understand that's how they lived back then, that whatever God was presented to them as being who God is the reason for everything happens to them. So I'm just trying to make sure your mindset when you read some of this stuff, you've got to go back at that time and you can learn from a verse like that. That's what they were thinking, or that's how their thoughts were. Um, First look rejected promises. Um, in regard, well, this was in respect to this king here. Um, this text says he never returned. Um, I'm not sure if I've got the story right, but um, he was trying to do his best. I'm thinking that he actually kicked out some of the priests, tried to do that. He had the roof restored in the house. He had called the people, he tried to make order again of everything instead of going away. And what happened was our Creator, when they were at the celebration for the Passover, the statute, when they did come, those that were those that were sick, everybody was made healthy there. And it was our Creator rewarding them. And he was starting to get to where, yes, our God has made himself known to him. So then these guys up there in Damascus or something wanted to meet him. And when he went there, they ended up killing him. They uh, ambushed him. And I believe this is who, whoops, that's how I label things for my videos. I just thought I corrected this last time and kept it as a quick cut and paste there. Okay. So that's what's going on here. He never returned here. See, he wasn't led in captive. But if you don't know the stories, some of this, yes, you're going to have extra in your um, findings, I guess, or your learnings. But as you learn and learn more, then you keep correcting your text and keep correcting and keep correcting it. And you will find that this is, I'm pretty sure that's the story. Because that's why I've left it out here of all these things here, because I'm pretty sure that's what was going on. You got to remember, this is my whole life. I mean, I've spent, I spent, I think, maybe 15 years of 10-hour studies a day of going over all this text and trying to figure out answers, ages, placements, who's first, second, third. And then I got a chance to slow down where it was only 8 hours a day. And then there was time where I actually finally said, okay, time to rest for a year or 3 or 4, and then got back at it. And I'm happy when I'm doing this, and I just know that doing this format, when I'm thought about doing it this way, I thought I better do this so the people, somebody in the future doesn't kind of come through and try to do something different to persuade you away from our Creator, or lead you away, say, well, he didn't do that, I can find this. Well, that's why I'm recording this for history. Now, these are second to our Creator's hidden formats, but because they both say, or they're going to both pretty much say the same thing. Or like I said, I'm just redoing this for history. I think I did a lot of this cutting back in the 1990s, maybe 2000 to 2010. But anyways, this one I've taken a fresh look at, kind of put that off to the side, what I've done, and going through it again with more knowledge. So, like some of these things that I'm taking out now are what you would be able to find. I'm not going to, I've thrown out a lot of history that I've done on these. I still have them in case somebody says something, but hopefully everything will be destroyed, and just what you see here in the videos and what I'm doing is to be the recorded action or everything here. Because man has got rules on copyrights and stuff like that, and how long it can be before it becomes public, which is a public domain, and anybody can do whatever they want to it. Now this guy never existed, but you wouldn't know that unless you study that text. I think it's in Kings 1 and 2. Go to leave, same thing there. I'm trying to define it correctly. Now it's not what can I say this says. And this stuff, you will grow like nested in cedars. Hold on. Let's get rid of that. A signet ring, that was something, I don't know if you know what that is, but a king would have a ring that had a flat on it and had something etched into it. And then when he would make a document to seal it, they'd put wax on it and put his insignia ring on it to say that if it cracks, then it's been tampered with. Or if he's signing paperwork, he'd dab it ink and then press it on there and say, I'm the only one with this. So this is the way to recognize whose authority is on this piece of paper. They make them today, by the way. but it just lets you know how far back it did go, at least on this side of the world. I know that the Chinese history has a lot of blocks that are like the block of blocks that it was passed down king after king after king for over 1,000 years. So don't think it was all invented here in the West. He's always telling them where they're going to go, so it's not land unknown to them, but he's told them about where it's going. So, and they're not his flock after that, so it's kind of like he's already designated them as Jesus's people because he's going to give them to Jesus, and then Jesus is going to be um, the one everybody has to go to after his kingdom is established to enter back into heaven. So fruitful, change to lot, live there and multiply, and that this meaning that they have for fruitful. Like I said, that's the bubble that they eat when it goes down the tongue, that's their fruit they're speaking of. Their words are so twisted, it can, everything coded for a female here is actually twisted to always mean the female goddess, no matter how you look at the text. I mean, this text is actually as if Satan wrote it or he attempted, or he had a lot to do with it. So, after all, they're believing on him, so he gets to control them. Whether he gets to control every thought they give him, I don't think so. But here I'm putting it as title because we are talking about live securely in his name. So we got to be talking about Jesus. So all prophets must declare Jesus. As all prophets declare Jesus is coming and tell John the Baptist that he said he was here through Jesus's prophecy. The helper, me, I am always declaring Jesus as our king and cleaning all this text up as Jesus's prophecy. So that's what we do. We tell you the truth, and we don't really care whether you agree with us or not. I mean, it's just plain and simple. These are the truths that I'm giving you, and because I'm giving to know them as to live by, so I enter into heaven. So driven is really exiled soil here, and I'm just seeing some of these things that holy words, they're prophesied. And here I've got blank words that I'm going to probably fill in later, because when I'm looking for 3-verse format, you got to understand, this takes me hours. I think it took me over a month to do Jeremiah, and I mean working at it hours a day. So these are, you think you're just going to jump in there and going to have them exactly like I got? No. Remember, see, when I was talking about this drought in the last 2 videos, it keeps popping up, have dried up, so it can't be the pastures, it has to be the springs. And like I was telling you about how Jerusalem had or the land of Israel had a lot of spring water running all over the place, because just the way the land structure is that, because when man is always drinking the water, the supply is going down, and if our Creator doesn't replenish the water coming down from this mount under, it has to go under the Jordan, and then it kind of has to seep through Israel, because when you study the aquifer underneath Israel, um, this text is telling us at this time is when all these springs dried up and then the fields dried up because there was a drought going on. So, um, and they've not polluted that they defiled it. I could have used they have made it unclean. So defiled is really meaning unclean, unworthy for them to be around or to be there. It's unwanted by our Creator, meaning unclean and defiled. They're very close to where I probably should be replacing the word defiled with unclean at some point. Samara, we aren't going to get into bringing just a name from another country, and we're just going to say they come from the East. Because you got to understand at this time, India, there was, even before then, they were trading from India back and forth. Okay, just to let you know, all the way back to Solomon's time, were they trading with India? So people were coming from all over, different uh, peoples all over the place, and to hear something like this, it's it was a slow way to travel, but they did it. It is put in the text at some time, but not here. Why is our Creator going to allow them from Sodom and Gomorrah? And I don't think Gomorrah actually existed, but because we heard that this was um, destroyed by our Creator, the city. Well, that's because there was a lot of wild sex with the children or whatever. And when he says that he's going to be more lenient with them going entering heaven, because if you're wronged and you're wrong and you don't know that, you don't live that, but it doesn't mean that if you were still trying to be good, that shouldn't stop you from entering heaven. You really got to look at our Creator's mercy as far as who's wronged and when they're wronged and how that knowledge they're given to live their life. So when you see that text, you should just remember, maybe, I don't know if I've mentioned that other places or not, but that might be maybe the first time I'm mentioning things like that, that it's our Creator gives you everything. I mean, even the evil thoughts, evil ways, everything you do is caused by our Creator. Whether you choose them, that's where He's going to divide this, is that out of your choices, you still were better than the others. So that's kind of how you have to look at things. Um, Imagination is really meditation here. Um, Again, war. Um, when you read this, all of a sudden it's his words that prophesy for me. It's again, it's stuck in here. There's so many little times that they blurt this in the middle of something that's already going on that you'll find that that's why I'm removing a lot of these. They don't have a story, even though you can look for it and then try to combine them. Because once the text is used for a format, you can't take this and enter it back and forth. You have to keep it as one subject. Um, Evil ones. This had a hyphen. Announced, proclaimed. Himself changed to themself. I started changing the word itself, and that's how it was himself, and then I changed it to themself. So you'll see that I do that with the words the to their or they, saying to said. Um, it just gets, you do that 50, 60, 100, 200 times, and it's kind of like, got to shorten this down because to spend hours to do it correctly. Not forgot, but they dishonored his name. So yes, this is a big change here. I don't have the other computer up. I'm not really, I should be checking some of these for you to show you, but it just takes so long to do these videos. So, so I'm cutting a lot of that out. I mean, there is so much that I've already explained during the text and why I'm getting rid of words. Because when I'm getting rid of them, there's only maybe a list of 5 reasons why. So I keep going over them. But every once in a while, like right here in the middle, I've got something that reasonably sounds like, yes, it could be part of a format somewhere, or it could be a piece to a puzzle, and bingo, here it comes. Then all of a sudden it starts, and this is the story. So, but this didn't make it. So, and not that he banned it, he hates you. Our creator did use the word hate, so I used the word hate, and he's using the word hate when he's talking to him. Perverted, changed his words. Okay, now when Jesus tells us that we're supposed to become wiser than the scribes because the scribes are editing it for them, and I showed all that in the Gospels. Well, here this is being said by our Creator that they've gone in, they perverted the words from the living gods. It had gods instead of our Creator. Let's see that. Anyways, this is text showing you that he's going to be saying that again here. They're changing my word, and this is why I hate them. And here they're using the word oracle because that's the mystical word used from throughout Europe's all those little so-called Celtics and stuff like that that have a lot of fairy story tales, and a lot of it does come from the East India and that area. They all had their own words or whatever they wanted to say. I've got a vision from YV here. So in the text is not that this is your words, it's I've had to add our words. This words, the Oracle of YV. I also was sent to you. This is something that they said. So what I'm just doing is I'm cleaning it up. These are your words of the Oracle of YV, for I am also was sent to you. That's how they would talk to him, overriding the true prophet who came at that time. So again, just a small little paragraph, but it means that you now have an understanding of how they were. Everybody was divining or trying to be a prophet. But the object is to separate the word prophet to those are diviners. So just to let you know, when you see diviner, you know that they're the ones out there saying our creator made me see him, and this is not true. So yeah, I added this word because this story is going to be quite long and it needed an introduction. So this is my way to introduce you to a new prophecy. and then these words weren't what was being said down here. He's trying to decide uh, what's good and what's bad, he's going to kill, or who send into captivity. So it has to have these words here. Um, and just like this is this the text that should have been put up at the beginning? I can't really know, so I just put in what I thought. Regard, favor them to be captives. Like I said, this is the story. And now it's not the Chaldeans. Chaldeans kind of work for Nebuchadnezzar. Chaldeans kind of accepted that they couldn't outfight him, so they joined him. This is the way it was back then, that if you couldn't, then okay, we'll kill our boss here and now we're on to you type of thing. So, and these guys seem to live, if you're looking at the map, Damascus here, and then there's this Sahara Desert is here, but there's this little strip of land. This is where they were at, and then they ended up joining. Um, they were a butchery type of people. When they just didn't care about killing people or how they did it or what their reasons were for it. So this is why these guys were feared, but they knew they were going to be out battled. So I'm just letting you in on a little bit of why the Chaldeans are being brought up from time to time. It's like the worst of the group that you want to battle against. Abandon, kill. That's because the other stories were telling this is what's going to happen to this guy. Oh, this is right. This didn't make any sense um, in the when I got it cleaned up. So that's going to be looked at later. I know I've changed it. Can't remember who I changed it to though right now. Like I said, this has already been said in the prophecy, so it's just being said differently and not correctly. Now this they're trying to put in anything in a parentheses. I very rarely use this at any time through any of the text. I think I used maybe 2 or 3 in all the gospel when combining them together. It might be this guy, this his father. Might be his father that I could put instead of him. Because down here in this text, maybe at some type, this guy here, the story is going to tell you that he burns the prophecies from Jeremiah is stuck in this house that made a prison for him. This guy here, when the good guys hear about it, they want to try to warn the king. Maybe he'll change his mind, and he just throws them into the fire that's burning because it was in the wintertime. That's why the fire was right there. And then our Creator tells him he's going to die for that, and he's not going to live long as a king. So that's why I think now that I'm replacing and kill them like him. Jehoiakim, something. I wish I could. Some of these I wish I could just make 2 letters words. But anyway, if you want to change the words later, fine for our names to make it easier for people. but don't encrypt them to mean other than that. Okay. Mankind. This is how this is telling you when Jeremiah was a prophet. It says 4th years for this guy, but this is a son from here. But down here, there's other texts, yeah, down here from the 10 and 3rd year of this king. So it's the last 3 kings that he's around. That's why I've got this here as a note. How long is Jeremiah living? Right now, I think he has to be 43 at this time. Okay. So just to let you know, because the object here is that how long does he live? Because there's going to be 20 years before they come back. And when you start seeing he's getting up to that 60, 65, very rare did they live that long. So this is a real good guess at his age right now, because you have to say what time from a youth was he to get to be 43. These numbers, when you see them, how I've got them changed from like uh, uh, 20 years and 3 years to 40 years, is because I got how the kings, the lineage of them. See, when I've done an in-depth study of the years, these are pretty correct. This is really good. In fact, out of all these numbers, I think I'm off 1 year either too much or not enough. Okay, out of like 400 years. So that's how close or how in-depth study of kings I've got. So when I'm looking at numbers, they need to be adjusted to that. And you could only do that after you completely do the whole text and then go through it again. I think people, when they look at what I've done, and they're going to really have to um, say, gee, this guy took years to do this. In fact, I've had some people tell me it's going to take them 300 years to figure out what I've done. I think it could all be done within less than 100 years. But the thing here is it has to be done by a group of people to be able to cross-reference. And our Creator gave me so much up here, it's not funny. It is not funny. I mean, um, to be able to remember what I need to say at a certain time during these and why I'm saying what this word means and why I'm using the word land, live not on the land, but in the land, not on the land, in there's this changing right here. Um, Everything is extremely important. Okay. So don't screw with the words. Keep them as I've got them and try to remember I'm trying to take you back 2,000 years now. So if you're changing words, you getting rid of the knowledge that I've been given of all this text. You're really going to cause yourself problems if you do. Okay. Like I said, it's already been there. This here, bridegroom. A groom is a groom. Bridegroom, no. This here should never be in the text. This is definitely a male having a female goddess as being the bridegroom. So the thing here is that's why they've done this. This should never be in anybody's text left. It's either a groom or a bride. Okay, here I was still wondering whether this is 30 years or 20 years that the tribes will serve. So I guess I can now remove that. That's been taken care of. See here, when 70 years is completed, this is where you could look up and say, this is where Jerusalem is going to be completed. Um, but, yeah, but this is not time. See, it was 70 years. And I know the number is 20, not 30. Well, I can only talk for maybe 2 hours at a time when I'm doing these, and then my throat gets dry. So I try to do 2 or 3 here and there at a time because I'm going to stop after this one. This is starting to bother me. Now this is going to be text that is written after Jeremiah is. It's like going to be somebody else's summing up the story of Jeremiah out completely because of brackets, not brackets, but the parentheses. And not and all the nations are going to drink of this deal, and this seen that occurs really mockery. Mhm. This here, these guys have been dead for so long. Even Moab, Ammon, they're all been dead for so long. Nobody exists. Nobody keeps that lineage going when um, they were wiped out and massacred, men, women, and children. So this of 400, 500 years later, they still exist. I don't think so. If they found them, they would have probably killed them if they went by that name. So it's just trickery of words that they keep bringing and using. But you got to understand they did not exist. I'm summoning a sword. Now this it declares YHVH'S. Now I've went over what the hosts are. I guess I should do this again. These are under meditation. This little bubble comes around. What happens is they thought um, they were becoming a god into the sky, and they were the stars. Okay, this is what it means. YV of hosts, meaning they thought the stars themselves were actually gods that had um, come from the earth and ascended into heaven. So I'm just letting you know that's the mentally thought. That's what they thought about these words when it says the host. So I don't know. I know I've said that, but I don't say that a lot. But I know this text has got it here again and again and again. So I should say it in these videos. Well, like a choice vessel. Anyways, um, I think to speed up the next videos, I'm not even going to attempt to say anything about the blue. I'm going to say it right up front, and then I'm just going to skip over, and because this is like what, the 5th video, and I think not even halfway through yet. And to get rid of all them comments, I think would cut out at least 40, 50 minutes of me talking and repeating the same 4 or 5 things that I know that's why they're gone or removed. Before the out of you, written out for you, had written out, yeah, had written. Moses wrote them out. Okay. Um, there's a lot of editing there. I was reading faster through them than that. Here again, the race, every race, not just people, but different races of people being in, or to hear Jeremiah, they're all jumping up and down like, hey, yeah, we can come in here and take over. And we can make it for ourselves that these people are so stupid they didn't know what they were writing about. And that's because it's repeatable. It's been deceiving people for thousands of years because it's repeatable. And it's an experience people don't understand unless they're helped along in the conversation and say, well, we're all here. You just kind of step through the magic door to see us. Not amend, but repent. Deeds are really sins. Your ways were evil, so they're if evil, then I'm using sins. And it was their mindset, not his mindset. Okay, 41 minutes up. I got to bring this one to an end, and I'll probably, I'm going to start here at 14 in the next one. So, because